Barnes with us, and she is here to do the interview for how we feel about vaping and the regulations. Susan, how long have you been vaping?
On May 1st, it will be 3 years.
Okay. And what made you start vaping?
Well, actually, I was kind of coerced into it. I liked smoking. I was never going to quit, but my ex-husband decided he was done smoking. And normally when he said that, that meant he'd last about half a day before we were going to go get a pack of cigarettes. So I knew that, I always knew that we weren't really going to quit, but he got into the vaping. He went to one of the local stores in Boise and picked up a kit, basically an ego-style kit with Stardust claramizer, and started working on it. And he decided that was working pretty good for him, but it wasn't great. So when I saw him go actually about a week with it, I knew that I had to quit to help him. So he graduated to a Sigelli BMAX
Okay.
because he had me pick one up when I was down in Salt Lake watching my knees clog. And after that, he gave me the ego kits. I was going to use it just to quit smoking, but I became a hobbyist. But that's why I quit. I went into vaping, and I'm very happy I did.
Okay. Uh, well, let me ask you this question. What's the best thing that's happened to you since you started vaping?
I have always had allergies, hay fever, asthma. I would every year be out with bronchitis for at least 2 weeks or pneumonia. I haven't had that since I started vaping. I haven't had one incident of major bronchitis.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the best things. My health has gotten better. And I smell better. That's a big one for me. I quit in May. Uh, Took out some of the clothes that we had when it was winter, and I had to wash everything again. It was because it smelled so bad.
Okay. What is the worst thing that's happened to you since vaping?
Well, I don't know if this is the worst thing. I got into activism, so it takes up a lot of time trying to research stuff. I don't see any bad downsides on vaping. Really, I haven't. I spend a lot of money, but that's my choice.
Right, right. Well, how does your family and friends feel about you vaping?
A lot of them support it. They knew that Tony and I were smoking a lot. Tony would smoke up to 3 packs a day, and I'd smoke at least a pack a day. So our house always smelled bad. My nephew has started vaping. My mom has never smoked, so she likes being around me now because things smell better. Some of my family says that I really haven't quit smoking because I'm still doing the action. So they don't. I'm trying to educate. Some don't understand. Some are very supportive. My nephew and nieces have tried to help their mom get onto vaping because she smokes pretty heavy. So it's half and half in our family. But most of them understand that it's much better.
Okay. How does your doctor feel about you vaping?
My doctor's good with it. Of course, I'd gone through all of the steps. Tony and I had done Chantix. We had done the patches, the gum, and all of it. Nothing helped. So my doctor's very happy with this.
Do you have any family or friends that smoke or have smoked in the past?
My brother and I were both smokers. My dad smoked all of his life. Um, so my brother quit when Dad was in the hospital one time. So he's been tobacco free for about 15 years. My sister-in-law still smokes. I think I have a cousin who's still smoking, but my family I came from a pretty religious family who didn't smoke or drink or anything. I was always the black sheep. So there's a couple of us who smoke but don't no longer do. Great grammar there.
I knew what you meant. Do you have any
Okay.
family or friends that are vaping now?
Yes, my nephew is vaping, and he's very big into vaping. He I had seen a picture where he was holding a cigarette, and I told him once, if I ever catch you smoking again, I'm going to do bodily harm. And he didn't like the body part that's going to be harmed. Um, so he never told me. He told my mom that he was vaping, and I said, why wouldn't he tell me that? Well, he was worried about that bodily harm thing. Um, so I helped him. I gave him some of my older mods. I've given him juice. He calls coming to Aunt Susan's coming to the vape train, where he can get goodies of things that I don't usually use, the juices I don't like.
Okay.
But he's very big into vaping, and like I said, he's trying to get his mom into it.
Now, I know you said you still have some family that do smoke.
Hmm.
Do they have any health issues?
Yeah, my sister-in-law has the lung issues with the coughing, pneumonia, having every winter having those issues. Her family has issues because she smokes in the house, so they all have the shortness of breath, things like that. I had a 16-year-old niece, and she is a competitive clogger, which is a type of dance, and so I always worry about her lungs, having been around smoking all that time.
Okay. What would you do if regulations pass and it makes it harder for us to vape? Be very honest.
To be honest, I would go overseas or I would go black market. I'm not going to go back to smoking. I feel so much better about it. I would break. My history is in law enforcement. I was a probation and parole officer. I don't like to break the law, but this is one of the reasons I would myself from what I believe is important to me.
What's your feelings about standing against the FDA and the legislation regulations that are being made against vaping and the vaping community?
I'm very involved in that. I send letters to my senators. I send letters to the FDA. I want to educate them. I saw an article here in Idaho where the Speaker of the House said that vaping was as harmful as tobacco, as smoking. So I sent him an email and I said, I would love to see the articles that you're using for that information because here's the articles I have that prove the opposite. And so I have no problem standing up for my rights. I vote. My dad told me when I was growing up, if you don't vote, you can't complain. So I vote. I vape. I'm one of we're 32% of the voters, and what politician doesn't want that kind of base?
So you're not afraid to stand against the FDA, big tobacco, big pharma,
No,
and legislation. What do you
not at
think?
all.
What do you think our biggest strategy would be against them?
Uh, our biggest strategy would be to get everybody who does vape involved. I think we have a lot of vapors, but we don't have a lot of people who have the mindset that I can make a difference. It's just like people who won't go vote because my vote doesn't count. You have to become involved in things that are important to you. So the biggest thing that we can do is bring everybody together to go to those meetings. I mean, we have some of the best in the industry. Greg Conley, um, Dimitri, a lot of people go to these things and they support us, but we have to be there. We people have to be there to do it.
Um, do you follow your state regulations as much as possible, like vaping in public and vaping in restaurants, vaping in stores, all that sort of stuff?
I do. In fact, I got very annoyed one day when I was at a grocery store, and somebody was just checking out some huge clouds, and went up and I said, I understand the need to do that, and I understand the freedom of doing that, but in doing that, you're uh, putting out a perception that we don't care, and we do. So I try to follow those things, and of course, I'm not going to vape in somebody's house if they, unless they say it's okay. I follow the same thing. If you can't smoke there, then you shouldn't vape there. The ones that annoy me are the parks. If they say you can't vape in the parks, that one kind of annoys me, but I still follow it.
Okay. How well do you think the community stands together about vaping?
I think we do real. I think when we get a call to action from CASA, we do a great job of doing that. But I see that we are having, and I see that this in Idaho because I go to the state and local things that do affect us. Uh, I don't see a lot of people there, and I know that I think that what I found very interesting in Indiana when they were trying to get the legislation in Illinois, where they were trying to get the legislation cut down. There was a group there. They had the shirts on. They knew that those were vapors who were standing for their rights, and I don't see that in some states.
Okay. How do you believe it would be the best way to get the word out that vaping is better than smoking to those that don't believe us?
The best way is the articles. You put articles out. I put articles out. I reshare all of that. I know a lot of my friends are tired of seeing it, but I want everybody to know this is not as harmful as the mainstream media or news outlets are letting them think.
Have you ever lost anyone from smoking?
Yeah, my dad died in 2003 from COPD, and he said he was going to smoke till the very end. He didn't care, and I think if he'd had an alternative, it would have been a different thing.
Do you have any last words of advice that for those that would think that vaping is bad and for those that need to stand up for our fight for vaping?
I can't force anybody to change their mind that vaping is bad, not bad. But I can live my life showing them that vaping has changed my life. I can only help them to understand where a lot of the great studies are. And I would encourage every person to become involved. If we're vaping, this is our fight. It's not CASA's fight. It's not the vaping militia's fight. It's our fight. I want to keep vaping in my home. I don't want to have to go outside the United States to do it.
All right, and that's pretty much it. You did good. I thank you again. And as you know, this is going to go on YouTube. It also be spread around all the social medias as much as possible. You can also
Okay.
spread it once it's up.
All right.
And I thank you for doing the interview with me. It was awesome having you here.
Well, thank you for asking me.
And again, this is Susan Burns. Thank you.
Thanks.